In every single scene before this one, Will Hunting has had an answer for everything, and now he doesn't. Now something has changed. Today I'm going to be breaking down the bench scene in Good Will Hunting and try to uncover what makes this moment hit emotionally and what makes it change the whole dynamic between the characters. So let's dive in. Up until this point, it's been very clear who's been in control of similar moments. Will has been using his book knowledge to dismantle the ideas and logic of other therapists, allowing him to get the upper hand in these meetings. This is all until he meets Sean. Sean doesn't let Will's false confidence or book smarts get to him. Instead, he decides to follow through with the meetings, seeing something more in Will than just a brave face. But Will is smart. He's incredibly smart, and he comes prepared to these meetings. He's already decided what he doesn't want them to do. It's all a game to him. What can he say? What buttons can he push to make the therapist leave? And like I said, that largely worked up until Sean. But Will also has these external pressures pushing on him from the outside, while he resists them from the inside. His friends, specifically Chucky, they all want the best for Will, and they can see that he has so much more to offer the world than just working construction. And then you have Skylar. Will struggles throughout the whole film to be honest with her. He's afraid of commitment. He's afraid of being open and getting it thrown back in his face. And that's the dramatic irony that the whole film really runs on, the conflict of Will's mind. And finally, you have Professor Lambeau and his desire for Will to succeed in mathematics, saying to him that he could change the world and be extremely successful. This is all stuff that Will knows he could do, but he doesn't really want to, doesn't feel safe in those environments. He doesn't feel like he belongs there. So what actually makes Sean different? What allows him to break through to Will? Well, all the other therapists have made the same mistake. They tried to beat Will on his own terms, and he's ready for that. He's done the research, read their books, and knows exactly what to say to dismantle their efforts. Sean's first session is completely different. Will makes a crack about Sean's dead wife, and Sean pins him against the wall. It sets a boundary that Will comes to respect, and it shows Will that Sean isn't perfect. He has his flaws and his own problems. But Sean also refuses to engage in the sparring Will tries. He meets Will as an immovable object to an unstoppable force. But crucially, Sean has lived. He has real life experience. He grew up in the same streets as Will. He knows loss. He knows love. He's not just theorizing about human experience from a textbook. He's drawing from something that Will can't access or undermine. Quick pause. I just want to give a massive shout out to you guys. The support on these videos has been amazing, and it keeps me motivated to put more time and more effort into the next one. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. It helps a ton. I'm trying to hit that 1K subscriber goal, so make sure you click the button and help out. Oh, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, back to it. So let's dive into the bench scene itself. The scene opens with Sean acknowledging Will's intelligence completely. He's not threatened by it, he's not trying to counter it. This disarms Will because there's nothing to push back on. The talk of you know everything about Michelangelo, but you couldn't tell me how it smells in the Sistine Chapel. It directly shows Will how futile his arguments actually are. He might know everything, but he doesn't understand everything. If we spoke about war, you'd probably throw Shakespeare at me, but you don't know what it's like to actually be shot at or watch your brother die. Sean redraws the boundaries of what Will actually knows, and then comes the most important line of the scene. You think I know everything about you because I read Oliver Twist. Will's entire defense mechanism relies on knowledge. If he's read it, he understands it. Sean pulls that entire foundation out from underneath him. And Oliver Twist is important here because it actually does reflect Will's life. Poverty, abandonment, a boy in a world that failed him from the beginning. It's deeply personal. Sean isn't making a general philosophical point, he's making a point specifically about Will. And it's something that up until this moment, Will hasn't actually faced. All the other therapists use textbook attempts to break through. Freudian analysis, hypnosis. Sean uses something new, something actually personal. And there's another key line that hits hard here. Sean speaks of love, saying you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. And this line lands harder because as an audience, we've just watched Will push Skylar away the moment it became too real. Each thing Sean lists is another thing that Will has used books to simulate experiencing, without the risk of actually experiencing it. And then we can look at this from Will's point of view. He goes quiet. He has no comeback for something that he hasn't read in a book. Given everything that we've watched Will do up until this point, that silence is more of a shock than anything. It feels genuine. And then there are the performances, and silence is the scene. Robin Williams delivers the monologue with zero aggression. He's not attacking Will, he's just telling him the truth calmly, and it feels genuine and real. That soft certainty doesn't give Will anywhere to direct his deflection, because Sean isn't angry, he isn't showing off, he isn't vulnerable, he's just certain. And the technical choices are what allow this scene to take center stage. First you have the setting. A bench, a pond, a park. It's open and exposed. No walls, no desk, no authority structure, just nature. It allows both characters to be honest. There is no hierarchy between them. And then you have the camera. Much like the setting, it's simple. It mainly lingers on Robin Williams as he speaks, close, personal, and somewhat isolating as Sean speaks from real-life experience. As the scene draws towards its end, we get this beautiful shot of both Sean and Will together, close and tight, giving an emotional feel to the moment. There's no music, no dramatic sound effects, no visual flair. Gus Van Sant allows the moment to sit and slow down, giving a welcome breath of stillness to the film. So what actually makes this moment hit so hard? Simply put, it reshapes the entire storyline. Instead of Will fighting off therapists with mind games and book smarts, he now has someone who sees straight through that and is willing to put the time in. Someone who matches him, who has real experience and real knowledge of the struggles of Will's life. Will has been using intelligence to hide his humanity. Sean is the first person to name that. And there's a great parallel between this moment with Sean and the moments with Skylar. Will pushes Skylar away because intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires admitting that you don't have all the answers. Sean is making the same point from a completely different angle, and it gives a clear sense of what Will actually needs to do if he wants to move forward. And maybe most importantly, the bench scene places us on an entirely different storyline. We now have a guide for Will, and that changes everything that follows. Every step forward Will takes after this moment can be traced back to the bench. The bench scene works because it understands something that most films don't. That the most dramatic thing a character can do is stop talking. Will Hunting spends the entire film being the smartest person in the room. Sean Maguire is the first person to show him that being smart and being alive are not the same thing. And Will has no answer for that, and neither do we. As a writer or a creative of any kind, there's a lot to take away from this scene. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck don't write Will a comeback because there isn't one. That restraint is the craft. The scene earns its silence, and Gus Van Sant trusts the material completely. No score, no cutaways, no cinematic tricks. The scene just doesn't need them. And then Williams plays it with such stillness and certainty. That's what makes it land emotionally, rather than feeling like a lecture, an argument, or even manipulation. When I think of Good Will Hunting, my mind goes straight to this scene. The stripped back rawness of the moment, the restrained camera, the emotional delivery, the quiet response. It sets the whole film on a different path, and it will go down as one of the greatest scenes of all time. If you want to see more about this film, check out the full breakdown I've done on my channel. In my next breakdown, I'll be looking at the It's Not Your Fault scene and how everything we've just spoken about leads us to that emotional climax. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.